Welcome everyone. Say the name Taito and what pops into your head? Well, considering the previous content on this channel, perhaps a Darius or two. For me, Bobble. That's Bub and Bob. Sure, there are other games they did. They made elevators the coolest they've been and wouldn't be until Mass Effect. But it's the cutesy ones I remember. Is this cutesy? It is to me, damn it. And that's all that counts. Maybe they were onto something, so they went all in. The most terrifying game of my childhood, the NewZealand story, a spiritual successor to the Fairyland story, which kind of had a spiritual successor already in Bobble. Just remember, you need to be quick, otherwise... This was called the NewZealand Story Hardware, and here is another cute game, Dr. Popple's Adventure. This one is available on Switch and will pop up later as Chuka or Cloudmaster. Yep, same story as Wukong or Dragon Ball Z or the 70s TV show Monkey, but this time as a shmup. So what did Taito say? More cuteness. So here it is, Insector X. It's a game full of bugs. I'll make that joke every single time. So this is a game made by a company named Hot B. So I'll address the false cuteness aspect later, but they were a company that was probably fine with this requirement. They'd made a couple of RPGs before this point, a baseball bubble thing, and done a lot of porting work, including for Taito. But the reason you won't see this often on a Taito collection is because they took the rights back years after. So I imagine it's a little bit more complicated than usual. But again, future story, let's go to the game. It's not a complicated game, 2 buttons, one for a normal shot, one for a special shot. I've got both breasts down and associated with a turbo button, not like I've got a special weapon yet. This is not what the S is for, that's for speed. Yes, it's one of those games. I already picked up a power-up, so it's now a double shot. Creepy fish at the bottom, since this is a Taito game. I guess I've got to take them all out. But all in all, there's nothing tough about this, right? The spray can. That's my special weapon. Right now, it's a flaming missile that shoots off fireballs, but there is a level-up system for this as well. However, instead of iterating on the power like the main shot, it just changes it completely. So if you look at the character, it wasn't a spray can, it was in fact a jet engine. Great for me, I can rest my wings and power through this temple. Slowly but surely. There we go. Considering it was powered by the same hardware as NewZealand Story, I'm guessing transitions are to be expected. So it wasn't a single screen anymore, but it wasn't pushing for an open world either. Background's a bit creepy, right? I mean, that giant centipede is ripped apart, that's a cadaver. Look at the snail, look at the bees, look how adorable everything is. There's a conflict here. It's interesting. So I picked up another spray can, jet engine, and I've got, I don't know, acorns that go to the gym with a helicopter hat. I can't explain it any better than that, I'm afraid. So that A I just picked up, that's a fun power-up, that's auto fire. So the game has built-in auto fire, but you have to get the correct power-up. Lose a life, lose the auto fire. And the creepiness is back. We have what looks like the remains of an ancient civilization with sinewy goings-on underneath and still adorable bees hurtling their way to their demise. Now, a thing with the spray cans, they do change. The blue ones are air-to-air, the brown ones are air-to-ground. You'll see in some stages like this, it is completely useless, owing to the lack of ground and flying enemies like this boss here. The not really adorable queen of the adorable bees or wasps, that looks like a wasp in the background killing an Egyptian, simple enough, and done. That's the first stage. Not exactly difficult, but this is a cutesy shoot 'em up, and not everyone wants to be like Hatcher Mecha Fighter. Fade to black, we get a lovely little comic book panel for our troubles. Yeah, I've killed and I'm ready to kill again. The Plateau area. There are 5 stages in total, and there's a size perception issue going on here. I felt like I was quite big going through that last pyramid, but it turns out that I'm tiny even when compared to a blade of grass. Let's try not to think about it too much. It's simple here. I feel like I'm going to say that a lot. Dangers in the air and on the ground, so I'm just going to alternate between the two. Even in this cutesy environment, we're somehow able to shoehorn turrets into it, either embedded in bamboo or flowers. And coming up, on my power-up, we have the circle shot. You best hope you didn't die before this, because these will be a little bit useful in a minute or so. Of course, giants, relatively speaking, hula hoops of death lose out against rocks, so we need to get past those as quickly as possible. In fact, we'll just do everything as quickly as possible. It looks dull as dishwater, as they say, but it gets the job done. This is again a level 3 on the difficulty list out of 50, the same as Stormblade that we just did, and all the fun ones coming up, which are mostly harder. Or at least throughout. There is some difficulty here, which we'll get to in about 10 minutes or so. My shop has turned into a fly squatter with some bouncy balls attached to it, which is good for the enemies in front, not so good for behind, above and underneath. That's why it's nice to have the hula hoops. They can hopefully take care of the rest, but because I'm never entirely sure where they're going to come from, I'm going to stay near the middle for this part. But it's time for another special power-up. Need to wait for a second. There we go, we have rockets. Very happy Rocket Bills or Rocket Rogers. I genuinely can't remember if there's a power-up to come after this for my special attack. Let's find out together. I'm fairly certain, though, there are some more power-ups to get for my main shot, however, and we are approaching land again. We are approaching the boss, just need to make sure not to mess things up. There is a one up here, though, that should in theory help, but not really. Again, with the rather out-of-place mechanical structures, and here it comes. It is a grasshopper with a rocket launcher. Well, I suppose it's only fair that we both get one. And now we come to the limits of the hardware. There's a smidgen of slowdown, but that's fine. So far the hardware seems to have kept up. So he'll go up and down, then ram, that's it. There is a bit of risk when he rams that the mini grasshoppers will come out close together, not leaving enough of a gap to come through, but to remedy that, just be patient. I'm not very patient, so I'll go for as many shots as possible. And here he comes down for another, oof, that was close. I'm not sure if it gets quicker when it gets closer to death. We have little pockets of slowdown, which is probably stopping it at the moment. It's not a lot by any means, but noticeable when playing. He's gone yellow now, so it must have got its liver and it's dead. Again, simple, but this is a 5-stage shmup. We got 5 minutes out of our quarter so far, sitting at 4 extra lives. That would tell me that everything's going okay. What does the panel say? Oh, he be mad. He coming to get ya. What time is it, Insector X? Time for payback. Let's go for it. We're scrolling ever so slowly at a predetermined pace through the skyline now. My rocket attack is just the one I need to give me effective coverage in the air. These hornets are a menace. Not only are they a swarm, but they're a swarm with laser blasters. This may all look simple, but there is a degree of memorization at work here. I need to roughly remember where these enemies are going to come from to deal with them quickly. As you can see, these bullets, while not being particularly devious, are getting quite quick. They only have the right to 8 directions, but add those to the laser blast and yeah, someone silly like me could easily fall for that. Especially for patterns like these. Wow, okay, this is definitely a 3rd stage. And it looks like the Hornets have revenge bullets now, right? Anything better than rockets? Nope, there's still more power to get though, which is fine to destroy these electrified mechanical footballs. Unfortunately, I feel like I've taken too many speed pickups as I zip around this screen. It's always a problem of mine in games like this. I want to be fast, but not too fast. So I have to not take every single speed pill available. What's in the pipe? And this is the good thing with the fly swatter, it goes through walls, so I can take care of these magical mushrooms and still be out of danger. I've not even said what happens when you die yet. Can you guess? Right, I'm going to avoid that speed one, thank you. Yep, our favourite term, gradient syndrome. But we're going the whole hog with this one. Not only do you revive with no power-ups whatsoever, that includes the auto-fire power-up, but you also start at the last checkpoint. Sometimes these checkpoints are generous, and sometimes they are anything but. So in this moment I'm very glad to have not died, otherwise I would have had to be creative with the mushrooms, since I wouldn't be able to hide behind either concrete or pipes. Speaking of pipes, let's go further. And this looks a little bit too intricate for a sewer complex. Too many pipes, creepy lights, but there are plenty of flies to swat. And, well, okay, we've stopped. It's boss time. It is. It's a hornet with a machine gun. A machine gun which fires glowing hornets. But there's also these spores, which I believe are a little bit RNG. So it's getting interesting. With the upgraded weapon though, I don't always have to be in front of it, which is helpful to do a bit of damage and also weave through the spores, which in combination with each other can potentially be troublesome. Kind of reminds me of a Razion EX boss playing this today. But I've got to say, seeing this back, it all does seem rather simple, doesn't it? It does help that there are pockets of slowdown which have returned. Again, not much, but enough to help out. Right, he's gone red now. I hope that means the end. And it looks to be that way. So with 3 down, 2 to go, what is on the other side of this magical, mysterious, mechanical pipe? But what's more important, what will this panel be? Oh, he be stealthy. And an extra life. Okay, we're in the jungle for some reason. There is a giant skull, or a regular sized skull I guess. And since we're on the ground once again, we technically have a use of the brown spray paint cans with random ants everywhere, but I'm going to continue with blue, or rather, I'm going to pick up the item for more points and change absolutely nothing. But it seems like this stage is more of an evolution of the first part of the first stage. I can't help but think of Prehistoric Isle 2 when doing this, because for some reason my frames of reference only include Neo Geo horizontal shmups when I'm playing this game. But the same fish have made their way from Egypt to South America to be blown up all the same. Of course, if I didn't have max sub-weapon in this moment, I could seriously consider having a ground sub-weapon. But this is one of those games, yes, one of those games that we're seeing more and more on this side of the Shmup list, where recovery from death is difficult, so it's just easy for everyone if it's done in one life. And into the giant hole we go. And yeah, what can I say, this looks like a carved into rock formation that is tinkering with the very fabric of reality in the background, and could send us all to Narnia if we're not careful, with stalactites. So I'm very glad again to have the fly swatter, because there are exploding spiders hanging from the ceiling in between. Oh, is that a 1-up? I've not done this particularly well though. Oh, I've been able to get it after all. So yeah, it's on the easier side of things, but there's still learning to be done. You need to learn to make it easy. Just like the game's done before, especially when it comes to the lasers, especially when you're as unskilled as I am. Twitch reflexes are not my friend. Yes, a second transition, we're dealing with some very serious stuff right now. Can't we have just gone around it? Yeah, but neither could Kratos in God of War, and that was critically acclaimed. This game wasn't. You go on Wikipedia page, and like all arcade games, it will say what place it was in Japan in terms of money spent. I think it was 24th at the time, but hey, this spider has turrets. Let's take a look. This is just a spider with a fetish that is pooping more spiders that are projectiles, but it's the seed-like things that I want to be wary of. Of course, sometimes I could lose a life here just by going a little bit too high or a little bit too low. It's very easy to do, but I haven't, and I'm hoping that this boss is nearly done, but no, it was glowing red, but not in a good way. It does this little slow charge attack, which can be dangerous because it limits the amount of time to react for the seed attack, just like that. The gaps are generous though, but it's easy to get wrong. Again, a bit of slowdown is here to make it a bit more manageable, but it is inconsistent, which can be a double-edged sword. Come on, spider, please die, we have things to do here. And we are done! Fantastic! And with that, we get to go to the end round, but before that, what have you got for me? Yes, Action Bug. Here we go. We're off to their empire. This is it, our final mission. Why are we here again? Okay, I've taken this from the US instruction manual of the Mega Drive version. Unknown to the human eye is a world where exist 2 micro-tribes, Beltzers and Insectors. The king of the Beltzers is Baglong Belzide. Obsessed by an evil ambition to conquer the world, he created half-machine, half-insect forces to carry out his plan. He ordered his mechanical insector forces into the peace-loving insector world and destroyed its inhabitants. Now, Baglon Belzide and his forces are about to invade the human world. The last survivor of the insectors is Kate. He managed to escape to a desert that had not been reached by Belzer forces, and he was rescued and sheltered by a human boy. The peace did not last long, however, because the Belzers have started to invade this desert place. I am not going to escape anymore. Kate is now flying to protect the human who saved him and revenge his insector comrades. Okay, so we have here some casual genocide and a bit of ET. Got it. And now we're getting to the tricky bit, a series of tight tunnels, and this is where if you die, you are screwed. It's not impossible, just very, very hard because of the full power. We got through that bit okay, but my pea shooter would have trouble taking care of the walls blocking us. And here is another approach to test us, and the bullets are a bit more common now. The enemy shoots almost immediately as they enter the scene. Again, fine to control now, but if I died? If I died? Oh, the nightmares. And if I took that extra speed boost, what's stopping me slamming my craft into the nearest bullets? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Skill can't save me here. And now we go for what should be the last tunnel. Enemies from behind, not so many bullets in front. And now we get to see this mechanical insect kingdom in all its glory. The snails are angry, as they should be. I'm a mad little fly that's come to exact revenge. These guys are dropping down now. Yep, don't get caught out by that. And if you die, the checkpoint is right before the tunnel. There were times that I died in this section and just reset the machine, but not this time. This time we get to see the final boss. That is a gangster, mantis, with some very nice shoes. So yes, the bullets do track, which means you have to move slightly away as it progresses. When he goes up, you go down, so there's enough space. And what have I done? I've crossed the path. That's very brave of me, but hey, that's pretty much it for this boss. Simple, right? My movement isn't smooth at all though, which makes it a little bit challenging. Like I'm doing little shunts all over the screen. And that's the trouble with repeating the same pattern. Eventually, you will fail. And unfortunately, the HP of this mantis is not going down nearly quick enough. There'll be no indication until the very end when he turns red. Until then, we shimmy, shimmy, shimmy till the break of dawn. Okay, I just need to stay calm. Okay. My angry little fly friend, revenge would be all the sweeter for it. I really wish there was a health bar here. I'm also not sure if my sub-weapon is even causing damage. Right, we go up and then swoop back down. Okay, he's gone a little bit red now. And hopefully just a little bit more. He's flashing green. And we're done. That was Insector X, released in 1989 by Taito, developed by Hot B, played today on the Mr. FPGA. Have I finally found happiness by blowing up the evil mantis? Well, there's a story. After many violent battles, the Insector fighter finally defeated Sovereign Baglon. Baglon's ambition was collapsed, and the harmony between nature and insects is recovered. Thank you, Insector fighter Yanma. We never forget your activities. Blowing up stuff and checking emails. The end? The end? The end? A game over? Anything more than that? Alright, fine. I wasn't even thanked. Well, I suppose I was indirectly. If you've made it this far, the video is not over because it received ports that I want to quickly talk about. If you are new to the genre, I can heartily recommend playing the Famicom version, which was released a year after. It's one of the easiest console shmup experiences going. Remains quite true to the arcade original, but still plays well. Of course, graphical sacrifices had to be made, and with the sheer size of the bosses, it went the Mega Man route of just removing the background entirely. But why this is recommendable is that the final stage gauntlet is gone. There is no corridor of doom to traverse. Well, there's half a corridor. Then it serves as a transition. The final room is there, and it's a lot more manageable. Enemies don't immediately fire a bullet at you, and in keeping with the Mega Man theme, it changes the last boss. Instead of the praying mantis with a machine gun, you fight off against a Dr. Wily clone armed with a jetpack and some slippers whilst having to dodge the Death Star and Death Star babies. Now, like I said at the beginning, they got the rights back and were able to make their true vision for the Mega Drive, and it was definitely not cute, but I won't show too much since I'd like to play through it fully one day. It is a little bit harder than the previous iterations though, but for now, that's it for Insector X, in all its glory. Thanks for stopping by, until the next time, bye now.